episode 218 of the Xbox Hall of Gamers podcast. This week, I'm joined by Cameron.
Hello.
And Keo.
Hey, everybody.
And I'm Matt, as always. This week, it's a little bit of a slow news week. I mean, not like slow, but like things have been slowing down after Summer Games Fest and all that kind of stuff. You know, it's like, okay, well, what's next? What's happening? But I don't know. I mean, how have you guys been? Cameron, I know you've been very busy lately.
Yeah, I've just been concentrating on getting one of my courses done. I've barely done any gaming, but I don't know. Every time I look at the gaming news, it's just like, all right, we're potentially closing down this studio.
Yeah.
And until we actually get some factual information, I just want it to all go away.
It definitely does feel like that, right? And I guess, you know, end of financial year is end of next week for a lot of these companies. So I guess we'll probably hear more about that after that. Keo, how are you doing?
Yeah, it's been pretty good. I think it's been about a month now. Is it 3 weeks, something like that? So, but things are just tracking on. I'm just trying to kick through some games and focus on one thing. That would be nice. At a time. But then, yeah, it's fine. I'm finding a little bit of extra time to do, some days by myself. And then I have a night where I don't have anyone to co-op with, and I'm like, it's too quiet around here. So I'm like,
There's plenty of games out there.
I need people every day.
I don't know what to do.
Matt, a day off would be great. Yeah.
Trust me, I won't get any more starting next week.
No, I was going to say, yeah.
Back to full time.
As always, we do the show live on Twitch. Xbox Hall of Gamers is the place to find us. Come say hi, hang out in the chat, usual business. You know how it all works. Thanks, Bulbasaur, for joining. Always great to have the community members in here. We try to interact with you guys as much as possible, so feel free to throw questions and stuff at us. Well, we don't have any community questions this week, so I think we're just going to jump straight into the news, which this is us. Yeah, we'll start with this one, but obviously, we've had a few chats over the last couple of weeks around the state of Xbox, and obviously the big Xbox reset stuff happened last week, and all the rumored closures and other bits and pieces. And there's been talk around like, is Game Pass? What's happening to Game Pass? Is it no longer a focus? How are they going to support it without having all these studios around to make games for it? I don't know. But the director of Ori of Moon Studios definitely has some opinions. Basically says Game Pass could have worked if Xbox didn't quote unquote slop out mediocre content like a factory, which is quite the quote. And to be fair, this isn't the first time Thomas Mahler's made kind of controversial quotes for sure. There's, he's been in the news a few times.
Yeah, and you could say that what content? Xbox.
There is that too.
I mean, Redfall. Okay, yeah, Slob. Okay, I get you. You're fine. Okay, you're not fine. So,
well, I'll read through some of his quotes here, but I'd love to hear you guys' opinions on his thoughts. He said, the Game Pass strategy could have worked out if people had shown up for it. The problem is they didn't, and the software catalog was just nowhere near good enough to make people happily pay for the subscription every month. It's the same as streaming in the film business. I happily pay my HBO sub because HBO has amazing content that I want to watch. I keep that sub because I was just to binge The Sopranos, The Wire, Game of Thrones, etc., which is fair enough. But with games, new, for some reason, is very, very important to players. And if your content doesn't even remotely match the quality of the old content, then you've got a problem. And he said, this is the statement here. It's like, but what was the last big Xbox game in recent years that was just delightfully good? That game doesn't exist.
His statements don't make sense, though.
Okay, Kevin, let's get your thoughts. What are you thinking?
Okay, so like from a first-party perspective, I get it, right? But like even just from take the first-party, I guess, conversation out of it.
Sure.
So, Game Pass, we've got like third-party titles that are pretty much like, getting stuff like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Sure, it's not day one kind of stuff.
It's like a year later almost, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm with you. There is definitely good stuff on Game Pass, otherwise I wouldn't pay for it.
Yeah. Are we saying like just new in terms of like, all right, it has to be like a day one title for people to actually care? Because I don't think people like, sure, you'll have your impulse buys and that where you'll buy something because it looks good, but I don't think, given the economic times that we're in, people are really rushing to buy day one games anymore. They're waiting on sales to pick stuff up.
Well, we'll have a chat about that in a minute, I think, with some announcements this
Well,
week.
well.
But
What a week to make that statement.
yeah, but I get what you're saying, right? I just don't know. I think there is something to be said for, and Game Pass has always been relatively controversial in terms of like, there is talk that like, and again, like how much of this is true, I want to put a caveat on that, but the idea that some developers are like, well, if I'm making a AA game or a big enough game that's interest, I'm not going to make an Xbox version until Microsoft shows up with a bag of cash to go, hey, can you do a port and also put it on Game Pass? And obviously that's mostly Japanese developers, right? Like that's what happened with Yakuza. That's what happened with Persona. It was like, hey, Sega, we noticed that you aren't making Xbox ports of, some of your biggest franchises. We'll give you a bunch of money, put them on Game Pass. And they're like, oh yeah, of course. What a great deal. And like, and Xbox, now Xbox is like, well, how much money can they afford to spend? Because I think to your point, Cameron, like if we take out, obviously the first party lineup has been a bit shaky, but even the third party stuff, like they don't get a lot of day and date big AAA stuff anymore.
But
I'm not saying that's bad. Like I think from our personal use case and our community, we probably don't care that much, right?
I guess from my perspective, it's like, well, if you're an independent game, you usually go through Steam first, and that's like majority of the market.
Sure.
And then when you do get to a point where you have a surefire hit, then you port it out to other platforms.
Yeah.
You usually work with a porting studio that will probably take like 50% of the proceeds, depending on what kind of game you are, and that just to get it onto other platforms and get that upkeep going on. I mean, I understand the Japan argument, but then we look at Xbox sales in Japan, and then I could understand not wanting to put a game out that you don't think is going to perform commercially well.
I mean, but also like Japanese games obviously have huge international audiences. Like more people buy games in the West than there are people in Japan. Like
it all depends on the context of what game it is, right? Like
Persona, for example. Like I don't know.
I mean, something like Persona. Well, we know they've got that close relationship with Xbox now, and that stuff makes sense. But I mean, I'm trying to think of a really good example, because we go back to this kind of thing, but then we've got games like Yakuza that does really well with Game Pass. We've got Persona now. We've got what's another Japanese studio?
I don't know. That's the thing, is that like there haven't actually been that many of them. I mean, Capcom occasionally puts stuff out, but like most of their Resident Evils aren't on there. I mean, Resident Evil 2 is.
Yeah, I mean, some of the biggest heavy hitters are just hitting. Like, there are some heavy hitters that hit Game Pass, right?
But I
mean, like, you
like,
can't be talking about those, right? So,
no,
I mean,
for sure.
Are we talking about Game Pass here, or are we talking about, like, when it comes to the Japanese studios? Are we talking Game Pass, or are we talking Xbox?
Well, let's talk about it's Game Pass, right? Like I think his point is that like you either have to, if you're going to run a service like this, you either need to spend a lot of money licensing good content, and that's what I mean. Like you need to rock up to an Atlas, give them a bunch of money to put some of their best games on Game Pass, or you need to really invest in your own studios.
Because if we go back to the Japan argument, then there is also the stuff where, well, Sony is a Japanese, is a Japanese company.
Mm-hmm.
You've got those leaked documents when it came to like Capcom and all that, where Sony money had it to keep it off Game Pass.
Oh, sure, yeah, and they did the same with Square Enix. Yeah, absolutely.
When you're thinking of those kind of developers, there's also that element of it as well.
Of course. And so I guess the thing is, like, if you're in a competitive environment like this, and Game Pass is and has been the focus for Xbox for years now, right? Like it's been the thing that differentiates them from PlayStation, from Nintendo. So much so that even PlayStation, did their own version of Game Pass. But the thing is, exactly. Like when you have companies money hatting basically stuff to be like, well, this can't come to Game Pass. And so all we're getting on Game Pass is the stuff that we can either overbid them for, or things that have come out already for age, or on other platforms, like, you know, like Persona stuff they're all ports, you know. They didn't get Metaphor day one, definitely didn't do anything like that. So the option is you either get indie stuff or you do first party stuff. And I think to his point, you know, the first party stuff is where is the real selling point, right? Like the day one first party stuff is the unique selling point for Game Pass. And if that stuff just hasn't been up, and again, like Forza Horizon, I think he's wrong, because Forza Horizon 6 is a fantastic fucking game. And I think it's a great, it's like, I'm playing it literally almost every day. It's fantastic.
I understand the point when it comes to like weaknesses in like the AAA kind of lineup in terms of what the first party offerings are. And I guess this is the go with like the Xbox reset.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like going on previous week's conversations. I don't know whether putting all our money in Halo Gears and that is the tentpole franchises is the best idea.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
But we've had conversations before of like, you know, Sony tends to put out a 9 or a 10 kind of game, but they do it very infrequently, whereas in Xbox is a constant series of 7s, essentially.
Every quarter was the plan, right? But the problem is that they weren't consistent either there, too, and everything got delayed. A lot of things, you know, it's... I think to your point, if you were constantly putting out... if you put out a 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10 game twice a year, that's one thing. If you were putting out 7 out of 10s or 7 and 8 out of 10s every quarter, sure. But the minute you either miss a quarter or that game comes in a 6 or a 5, that whole strategy falls apart, you know? Like, I understand like not putting too many eggs in a basket, but if the idea of building a backlog and wanting people to jump on and play all these games, that like, there just aren't that many Xbox Studios games over the last 5 years that I'm like, yeah, you absolutely should have Game Pass to play this. There's a few of them, but there aren't that many. There isn't enough to be like Sopranos, The Wire, Game of Thrones, HBO equivalent kind of thing, right? I don't know, Kia, what are your thoughts about the sort of, you know, the lineup, or you know, do you? I mean, I guess this point
sounds like somebody's still salty about Ori, and you know, and the. Yeah, so
I mean, Ori was great.
Being part of the Ori was great, because it's like, okay, when was the last big hit? It was Ori. Ori was the last big hit, right? So let's you know, there's been nothing since that's been really great, right? So, but Ori was great.
Yeah,
both really
of them.
Good.
Yeah, both of them fantastic games.
But like, I mean, just reading through a few of these things, like a couple of things that are said are basically countering each other and stuff like that, though, right? So. I mean, it's great that, like, I mean, Xbox are picking themselves back up now, but there also really hasn't been enough time to, like, one of the problems Xbox has always had, what Microsoft has always had, is that everything is always changing, and they can be ahead of the curve, but then they don't do anything with that and push even further ahead of the curve. It's always like, oh, we did Windows Phone. Oh, Windows Phone died. Oh, we should have kept going with Windows Phone, you know? So there's like all of these decisions that they've made, like they don't really stick to. And then once again, we're seeing new changes with Xbox again, right? So like, yeah, I don't think there's been enough. There was never enough push to kind of get games out. And like, you know, some of these studios that hadn't even released games were sitting on cushy Microsoft paychecks every week and hadn't even released games. So there's a little bit of that, right?
Yeah,
so,
sure. Definitely, the pipeline for sure was definitely very slow for all those acquisitions they did in 2018, 2019.
Yeah. And if you go back to my rants with like Forza Motorsport and how much that game did not. It's almost like they, like, once again, Forza 7, Forza Motorsport redo, you know, like they just wanted to have, it's like they wanted to make the game so that the game would pay for itself and they could just have a revenue stream and all that kind of stuff and just work for itself.
Platform.
But that's never enough. Yeah, like a platform, right? But it was never enough. You don't push further ahead. You've just let You just set things up and then just let it go, and then you don't do anything with it. And then this happens. But like it's almost like, I mean, I don't know, it's just having the same argument again, and we just end up in the same circle about the quality of the entertainment being, the issue, but like it's not the whole issue. So
Sure. Yeah,
it's more than that.
I don't think. Yeah, I think there's a point there around like he's just been like his argument is basically make better games, and I don't know if making one or two better games would really change the conversation. I don't think a good Gears and a good Fable and a good Halo is going to change where Xbox is on their Game Pass messaging and kind of where the industry is at. Right. I think you need a top to bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I don't know what they need. Actually, you know what? I think
Yeah,
that's
you
the problem, and neither do they.
If you have so many games coming out for the platform and you need it to hit with Game Pass every single time, basically you need something that will suit everybody every month.
Yeah.
Which means that you have to put in a mix of your quality and not so quality, and they were picking these things from outside without the internal like games, so that they're basically relying on third parties the whole time, right?
Yeah, and cost them a
for
lot
the
of
most
money.
part.
Yeah.
And I mean, and like we said a couple of weeks ago, that's what they were doing with their services inside as well. And you can see them trying to move a lot of their stuff internal so they can build that stuff back up again.
Yeah.
But you have to consolidate that stuff, and then you have studio shutdowns, and it's just like, but then games will take a few years to make, so you just got people sitting on, their paycheck for a few years while they're trying to make new games. So they have to bring some of this stuff in, and there won't be everything for any, like, PlayStation got away for a very, very long time with just third-person shooters and the same game every single time, and people were happy with it.
Yeah. So it's a fair point. They basically, they cornered the market on over the shoulder narrative single player experiences, right?
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Cameron?
I was going to say, is Xbox pulling the plug with their studios and that at the wrong time? Because I'm looking at the slate right now, and if we start with Forza Horizon 6 back in May,
yep,
we've got Forza Horizon 6, we've got Halo Campaign Evolved in July, we've got Minecraft Dungeons 2 in September.
Yep, along with everything else.
Gears of War E-Day in October. We'll have the Forza Horizon 6 port going to PS5 sometime this year. We'll have Fable next year in February. Like, I don't know. I just look at that slate and I'm just like, knowing that.
Yeah, I get what you mean, right? Like it's a stacked few months for Xbox in a way that it hasn't been for a long time.
It's like even the next year, getting to this point where the whole conversation was having those AAA kind of games every quarter.
Yeah,
coming out, and then I see a slate like that, and I'm just like, all right, I played Forza, I'll play Halo, Minecraft Dungeons. I'll I'm not probably the target audience, but I'll definitely dive. Gears of War, probably the same the achievement list. Fable, I want to play, everything I want to play.
Yeah,
and I think if you're a Game Pass subscriber, most of those are pretty tentpole kind of franchises that you do want to play.
Maybe.
It depends on what kind of gamer you are, right?
How fucking old you are, like us. That's the thing. Like we grew up with a lot of these original franchises, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Hey, Island,
the thing
thanks
I
for
worry
joining.
about in quite a few studios, like potentially Ninja Theory, now that we've got Hellblade getting to a point where it is a recognizable IP,
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Like you feel like maybe they're cutting their legs out under what could be a strong lineup for the following years because they're just not going to have the studios.
Are we getting to a point now where, all right, the Game Pass conversation we talked about prior to COVID is finally starting to happen, and now because Xbox is always like this, they basically get too far ahead of themselves and then have to pull back. Are we going to get to like late 2020s and go, all right, the slate's just looking a lot empty, and they're having to rely on third party or, you know, independent hits again. Because that's what it was originally. There was them buffing up Game Pass because they didn't have the studios.
That's why the acquisitions happened. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And Activision is part of that too, I think. And we haven't really talked about Activision at all, right? Like, I think there's also a piece there around, like, you've got Spyro, you've got Call of Duty every year. Like, there are a few others in there that I think, you know, kind of, and we also haven't talked about any Bethesda stuff, you know, like there's, you know, like
Bethesda was a smart acquisition though, whereas in every Xbox 360 days, you think of what a RPG powerhouse the console was.
For sure, 100%. Yeah,
and
Western
that's
RPG.
what a lot of the industry was back then. Sorry, I just saw Corey's comment.
Yeah.
Whereas in these days, it just seems to be more about like your Fortnites and your like those kind of platform games.
It's like I said this last week, but the top 10 games that people have, like, you know, they don't change. They haven't changed in the last decade, right? And that can't be good for this industry. And I think that there's something to be said around, this next 6 months or so for Game Pass and like Xbox in general look really, really strong. And so the natural thing is to go, oh, well, why are they closing all these? Well, again, we don't know, but it looks like they're going to be closing all these studios, the ones who make their sort of smaller, more interesting stuff. So Double Fine obviously did Keeper and Kiln. Compulsion did South of Midnight, and Ninja Theory did Hellblade 2. But again, none of those games performed super well, which, to be fair, is not their job. You know, like they were acquired, and those games were very much made to be things for Game Pass to fill out that library, right? And I think that's fine. You know, I think that's understandable. But it also means that those things need to be things that drive, if not sales, engagement. And
there needs to be a middle of the road conversation. It needs to be like you need to make your sales quota, but like be experimental, try and win awards and all that.
Yeah.
But this is a business at the end of the day. You need to be.
Yeah, and I think to Keo's point, you know, the amount of time that was spent making a lot of these things. I mean, shit, like, you know, we were joking, I think we were joking last week around State of Decay 3, right? They acquired Undead Labs in 2018, I think it was. Undead Labs have not put out a game since State of Decay 2, which was in that same year. Like, they have not put out a game in 8 years.
I was going to say, how long was State of Decay supported, though?
It was supported for a long time. Yeah, 100%. There is that, of course. Yeah. Yeah. It was...
Like, I do... I think out of all the studios, Undead Labs kind of... I give, like, a little bit more credit because they have scaled up quite a bit.
Yes, and the other thing there is that they have a nearly complete product probably coming out soonish, you know, in the next 12 months probably. And so they're probably relatively safe until that gets out the door. But you get something like Hellblade, right? With Ninja Theory. Hellblade 2 came out a couple of years ago. Did not do very well at all. Even when it came to other consoles, and didn't sell very well on those. It didn't review super well either. Yeah. And they were working on another project. And again, I remember when Tango Gameworks got shut down around the same time that Hellblade 2 came out, and everyone was like, because Tango Gameworks got shut down basically as soon as Hi-Fi Rush came out, or pretty soon afterwards. Yeah. And so everyone, even we were talking about on the podcast, we're like, is this just Ninja Theory just going to get shut down as soon as their game's out? And they had to come out and be like, no, we're safe. But
so I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I want to go back to Undead Labs, because what I really think they're doing with State of Decay is they're giving it a Sea of Thieves kind of treatment.
I think they're going to try.
Sea of Thieves, though, Rare spent nearly essentially a decade on it now.
Sure, they have done, yeah.
Which is when you think of. I do think with Undead Labs, State of Decay 2 was kind of like that kind of.
Yeah, for sure. It was definitely a more expanded version of the original game with a lot of extra stuff added. And like you said, they did support it for quite a long time.
I mean, we've always had these kind of opinions when you think of games like Fallout 76 or Sea of Thieves. They're essentially barren kind of wastelands of games that there's not much for us to do as story-driven. I know you're
for sure, definitely not my kind of games. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, but I do think the industry is such a way that a lot of these really successful games are essentially just play boxes where content just gets added into over time. Which I personally don't like as a gamer. I would rather have different. I treat my gaming like a buffet. I like having the different experiences.
Yeah.
Not always narratively speaking. I very much appreciate gameplay first, but I do think Undead Labs is going to be kind of like that. I think Ninja Theory, it was very much we're going to invest in all the best technology and try and make that over the shoulder.
Yeah, I mean, they very much went that God of War route, right? But
yeah,
couldn't.
Which I'm kind of if I would hate for Ninja Theory to just get closed completely now, because I do think Senua has a potential.
Yeah.
If they're hearing people and all that, they could turn this into their kind of God of War.
You're right with that, because like they have an established system set up to make more games more quickly. I mean, look at how quickly we got this Senua game. Like, they're talking about it already. If it was going to be released, sooner, then that's cool. If that is what they're planning on doing, they've got a platform for a good series of games if they keep it going. So.
Yeah, I agree, but I think that I
was going to say, as much as I hate it, like Double Fine and all those kind of make more sense to me in terms of like not letting them make projects like Kiln and Keeper that aren't going to make that much. Like, as much as I like those kind of games and I want games to be experimental, I do think we are getting to a point in the industry where it does not make sense to not place your money on a safe bet. Like, even, games like Hades are like independent games. They're just making sequels now because we're in such a way of like, you don't have the power to be experimental anymore unless you can really, self-fund yourself.
Yeah. Here's the thing, though. I think that of the studios that are looking to get cut, I think most of the catalog that they would have, if we look at the historical output on how long it takes them to make games, and then also how big of impact those games have, we're not looking at it. We're not looking at a slate here for 2027. We're looking at a slate here for like late 2028, early 2029. And Xbox is like, hey, and we talked about this last week, they had a 3% profit margin or like accountability margin, which is basically what they're told they need to basically provide to Microsoft. 3% is so bad that you could put it in the bank. If they had just not funded any games, put that money in the bank, they would have made a better return.
Yeah.
And like, obviously, I'm glad that these games got made because I really enjoyed Keeper, and like I enjoyed South of Midnight, and I enjoyed for the most part Hellblade 2. I liked what it was doing for the most part, even if it was half a game. But I don't think that's enough for me to go, yeah, no, they should keep these companies open. I totally understand.
I don't know if this is a hot take, but I think as an industry we need to move back. We need to essentially go to a Nintendo kind of approach, right? Like, not worry. Xbox needs to pretty much get in the mindset of not worrying about hitting the highest graphics and all that anymore. They just need to release fun, playable games that aren't getting delayed, essentially.
So, Cameron, the safe bets that you were talking about.
So,
what are the safe bets?
Yeah,
because
say something like Double Fine and all that, going back to those old kind of narrative games, like the existing IPs.
Yeah.
So Psychonauts 3.
So
like
Microsoft's idea of a safe bet right now is Gears of War, Halo, and look at their history. So
established IP that people are already familiar with. Like, so Double Fine, Psychonauts and all that. I hate the idea of like not experimenting.
Sure.
But considering where the industry is at the moment, that is better than, I would rather these developers stay in a job than just be shown the door.
But I think the thing is, I think Keo's point there is that what we're defining here as safe bets, I don't think are nearly as safe as Microsoft needs them to be. You know,
Yeah.
I think we're in,
Mhm.
I think the industry, and this is not necessarily just Microsoft in this position, right? I think that the industry itself is so expensive, and the eggs are in so few baskets, and the risk is
Mhm.
so high in terms of the budget. So spending, was it like the rumor going around that South of Midnight cost like 80 million for them to put together? And obviously that was over a long period of time because they bought the studio, and that game took a long time for them to come out. Like, that game was never going to make its budget back, even if it brought heaps of new people to Game Pass. Like,
Mhm.
that was just never going to be the thing. And I don't think that Halo, Gears, and Fable are
Yep.
going to do that either. And I think that this was,
Mhm.
coming back to the article around this idea of like Microsoft having a slop factory or whatever in terms of just putting out mediocre games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is very
So-
much him being like
Mhm.
Thomas being like, this is the problem. And then so everyone's like, what's the solution? And everyone, even Xbox, like, we don't fucking know, because this industry is not sustainable.
The thing I worry about,
Microsoft's
I
yeah.
was going to say,
Go.
this is Xbox's golden egg. This is what is getting them money in the door, though.
Is it though?
Their safest bet is
for Game Pass. For Game Pass.
Their safest bet is State of Decay, because it's a zombie game and everyone likes zombies.
So they did maybe when they started development on it.
Okay, just going outside of like particular games for though.
Yeah,
we've had conversations about in the past where I'm sure we've had conversations about leak documentation.
Yes,
saying that Game Pass is profitable.
Yes,
because there's always been that discussion.
100%.
Like
yes, they always make money on it for sure. It's not a huge profit center, and it's not growing nearly as quickly as they want it to. It's relatively stagnant apparently, but it's not like it's losing money. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So when we put that information against the fact that these games like Kiln and Keeper and South of Midnight and all that, lost money for Xbox essentially.
Yeah.
The thing I worry about closing these studios down is going to detract. I mean, you don't get Game Pass for something like South of Midnight, like for these games, right? I mean, it's good, but
we enjoy them obviously because we like having, like you said, the buffet idea of trying a lot of different experiences.
Yeah. I guess the thing I'm concerned about is, are we going to move as an industry of like, all right, would all these developers end up losing their jobs and all that? Xbox scales back to having, I don't know how many studios they've got now. But say they lose 5 studios.
Yeah, out of them like 15, I think they have, also.
So are we going to get to a point where, all right, well, if those studios aren't working on anything, the Game Pass content dries up a bit, they're going to have to try and get other deals with other devs to support that? Whether it leads to Game Pass essentially being a worse off offering, or I just wonder in like the next 5 years whether Game Pass is still, if it is profitable, it will be sustainable. But at what point do Xbox just go, nah?
So yeah, I kind of broached this last week a little bit as a theoretical of like, is this, again, Asher Sharma's already talked about they're going to do a shake up across the business, right? And I think Game Pass is going to be part of that. I mean, they've already reduced the value of Game Pass. They took COD out of it. COD is obviously the biggest draw for Game Pass, ideally, in terms of mass market appeal out of everything.
Reduce the value and the cost, though.
Sorry, what?
Like a value and the cost.
Yes, 100%, right? Yeah, they lose. They lost like 300 million in sales or whatever based on that. They're making that decision, and they definitely didn't make that up on Game Pass. So for sure, the opportunity cost was too high. It understands why it's gotten removed. But like, I could definitely see a future where Microsoft goes, yeah, we're walking back the first party day one thing from Ultimate, from Game Pass in general. I mean, they've already talked about like there's going to potentially be re-tiering of Game Pass coming up. Like that's almost certainly going to happen in some way, shape, or form. But yeah, the idea I floated was like, are they going to sunset Game Pass at some stage? Is this the thing where like they've run this experiment? They acquired all these studios to make things for it. Obviously, COVID fucked things up a lot in terms of timings and budgets and all that kind of stuff. But even now, years later, they're looking like, hey, these are the studios that would have provided content for Game Pass for the next few years, and we're going to shut them down, allegedly. So then you're left with, well, okay, well, if you've only got the most expensive games coming to Game Pass, so not even the slightly cheaper ones, and only that is for mass market appeal, and then you're going to make even less money on them because you're not going to sell those games if you're giving them to Game Pass users. Do they just go, actually Game Pass is just too expensive, and like we need to re-tier it in a way that maybe it's only for indie games, or maybe it's only for certain titles, or maybe it's like the console exclusives don't come to Game Pass, or they're only console exclusive. I don't know. Like, I feel like they're going to have to make big changes to Game Pass, and most of those are not going to be consumer friendly.
Yeah, but then we can also just have EA Play and Ubisoft and have it as a bundle or something, or have them do the work, and then because like it's the whole outsourcing thing, right? So what are you outsourcing? You're not making money off other people like buying EA Play and Ubisoft like for those platforms, but how do you bring it in so you make money off of that? So I guess you have the platforms on.
I mean, that's how Ultimate works, right? Because they've got the Ubisoft classics included, and you've got EA Plus included in Ultimate.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
They chuck them some money for that.
Yeah, so you can take the big ones out, make the money off the big ones, and have that stuff pulled together as the value package.
But I also don't think like if you think about EA's output, like their output's not great either in terms of like the like you want to talk about a subscription service that has no new games coming to it, like you remember when we pick up Ubisoft Plus, there's maybe one game a year worth playing on that service, and you play it for a month. Occasionally I'll go back for some DLCs, but like Ubisoft is obviously in big trouble in general, and it's not super surprising. Like I'm interested in the Assassin's Creed remake and maybe Rayman, but that's about it.
Yeah.
EA Play what's an EA Play monthly subscription at the moment?
I really don't know actually.
No, I don't know. But if you had if you had the choice, if I gave you a choice, one in each hand, and to do that, just take out the first party games and have EA Play and Ubisoft Classics, or bring back games with gold, what would you choose?
I'll take games with gold. 100%.
Okay, we'll bring back games with gold.
I'll take it. I'll take a new game.
Bring back games of gold. Get rid of Game Pass, and we'll be good.
But I think Game Pass is such a great vehicle for discovery for indie games, And I'm wondering if that's all it's ever going to be at this stage.
It totally is. So
yeah, so EA Play is $60 a year.
Yeah, okay.
But then the Play Pro is $160 a year, which gives you the day one access to 4 premium editions.
There you go. So that's the Ultimate tier, basically. And
yeah,
Ultimate only gives you the lower tier of that.
Yeah, depending on what kind of like if you're a sports kind of gamer, like EA Play makes sense, right?
But actually, I guess, but realistically, if you're a sports kind of gamer, you only really usually care about one sport, right? And you'll buy the new FIFA every year, and it's cheaper to just buy the one game you're going to play. And I think that's the problem with Game Pass in general, right? If
you're just like a casual kind of, hey, I enjoy my sports, and you're just setting up for like, if you're just paying $60 a year.
Is that US, by the way, or is that Australian?
I think it's Australian. I think.
And because if you want them day one, you got to pay the higher tier because you won't get because you want.
I'm on the Australian. Yeah, so it's $9 a month or $60 a year. But you just had like $9 a month subscription and just play all the different sports games.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, but those only get into the service 6 months after they come out, right? You need to buy the higher tier to get them day one. And so at that stage, like, and if you're only interested in FIFA, which is like most people, it's like FIFA or NBA, it's like, and NBA is mostly on the 2K side these days. So it's like most people are just going to go, well, I'll just buy the one game that I want to own rather than paying a subscription service. Like Game Pass is actually a terrible deal for people who only play COD or only play Madden or only play Halo, right? It's the people like us that really sustain it in terms of like, well, we want to play all kinds of stuff. We love the discoverability aspect, but most people are not like that. And I think that,
I guess my point is EA is a better deal compared to Game Pass because EA typically corresponds to the sports kind of gamer.
Sure. Yeah.
So it makes sense to have a subscription with that, whereas in Game Pass is very much just the mixed bag.
Yeah, I can see that.
PlayStation just added FC26 as the PlayStation Plus, one of the games for the month. Last month, I think. And like they have the EA stuff, I think, rolled into
that game's a year old now.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and it's just before the new one comes out.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you were talking about building hype for a new game, what do? Hype up the old game just before the new game comes out, and then people buy the new game? Grand Theft Auto 6 is probably getting a lot more. 5 is getting a lot more sales probably now. Leading up to 6 again.
Well, to be fair, I think GTA 5 is an anomaly because it always sells 5 million units a month or something.
It always sells, right? Yeah. But I mean, it's just like that, getting that momentum back in, like people talking about it, people think, and then people go and get it. So if it's given up for free, then yeah.
We say that pretty often though, like not prequels.
Yeah, prequels.
What's the right word?
Yeah, prequels is the correct word.
I don't mean prequels in terms of like the story sense though. Like
the original games. Yeah.
Yeah, entering into Game Pass as a marketing ploy to boost the sales of the new release.
Yeah, I mean, 100% for sure.
It's just good marketing.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Even I'm just saying outside of Game Pass, Graveyard Keeper, they gave away that for free, like on Steam, as marketing to get people to wishlist the second game.
Yeah, right. Which that's not a big surprise for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but move on next year?
Yeah, let's move on. But I definitely think it's an interesting idea of like what's going to happen to Xbox and Game Pass, and I think that obviously their current strategy, you can see it when you look. It doesn't really feel like they've had a succinct strategy ever.
But their communication's always all over the place.
Yes, 100%. And obviously they've got new leadership and there's a lot changing. So I guess we'll see what happens. But I would not be surprised if we see some big, not great Game Pass changes coming up.
Bring back Banjo.
Well, it's a good question. What the fuck's
no.
What's Rare doing?
No. Bring back Conker.
Yeah, have someone at Rare make a fucking video game. How about that? Just anything. Just something.
Hey.
I want Conker, I want Banjo, I want Spyro, and I want Crash.
Sure.
We have
Crash.
You are apparently Crash. The rumors are you are going to get another Crash game. Apparently, Toys for Bob are working on something. So, All right. The other big story this week, obviously, is the Steam Machine finally got announced, and holy fuck, is it expensive? Yeah,
never has an announcement made me realize how fucking bad the industry is in a place right now.
Yeah, we've been theorizing a little bit about like what this is going to mean for consoles, and obviously, there's that discussion. This thing is still apparently going to be coming out this year. It's already sold out in Japan, but yes, they announced the pricing. So if you want, and this will be in US pricing, if you want the 512 gigabyte model with a controller, it's $1,128, and if you want the 2 terabyte version with a controller, it's $1,428, which is a crazy amount of money. There's some talk going around of how much they were looking to price it at originally, and the talk was it was going to be closer to $750 to $800, so nearly double what it's going to cost. I'm not surprised. Like we saw this coming, right? Like they delayed the game because it was supposed to come out with they would delay the console because it was supposed to come out with the controller. The RAM stuff, they've talked about it a lot. They've been very upfront about the fact that they're running into issues. But I think the reality of seeing that sticker shock of going, actually, that's an unaffordable machine for most people, I think. Especially with the Steam Machine's kind of aim of being, well, I don't know, like, I think we've talked about in the past, like, who this appeals to. Cameron, what are your thoughts?
So I'm going to play devil's advocate here of Half-Life 3 rumors. For as long as time has existed, there has been Half-Life 3 rumors.
Yes.
But if it is a thing, I don't get why they would have just kept on delaying this and just bundled that in. Because I think that's the only thing that's going to get a console like this to sell.
But
Unless you're
it wouldn't matter because
diehard
you could just buy it on Steam and play it on a regular computer, right?
yeah.
Like this is the problem with this machine, and I think that like it's who is this for is the question, and I think
Loyalists. That's the only person it's for, like loyalists. Like, why would you buy this when you can just easily build your own PC and work it up to the specs that you want?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely.
You buy a console for a curated experience. You don't buy. Yeah.
But to be fair, I guess the question is this has found itself in a bit of an unfortunate middle ground, where it's semi-competing with consoles, because obviously the idea is that it was very much marketed as a put this small box in your living room, play all your Steam games at a reasonable price, at a reasonable level of quality. Like you were never going to be able to play top of the line stuff. It was about the average of what people's mid-size hardware on who use Steam kind of.
You say console, you say console, and basically you're sitting mid-tier.
Exactly. So, you're thinking middle of the road. Like maybe a little bit higher for the Xbox and a little bit lower for the original PlayStation, and then they came out with the Pro. So like obviously, and standards change over time. But sure, console is very much this is the point of the middle of the road of kind of what you expect for performance. Maybe like Series X on one side, Series S on the other, but like and to then come up with a PC that kind of is comparable, or at least slightly better than consoles, but not for that kind of price. I mean,
I'm trying to think of like what kind of customer you would have to be to get in the mindset of wanting a machine like this.
Yeah,
because like I could understand the point of like if you're a console gamer, this is going to be a better deal for you software wise, because Steam games will be priced cheaper comparatively to Xbox and PlayStation.
Yep, correct.
But at that point, why wouldn't you just buy a PC?
You buy pre-built for the most part, right?
You can buy pre-build. You can probably have better specs. You then open yourself up to having the option of using, using the web, using like everything else, right?
Yeah.
That you would get with a PC, whereas in this is going to be a very curated experience.
Well, yes and no. I mean, this thing is basically just a PC, though, right? Like, obviously, it's running Steam OS. But you can you can dual boot that thing. You can do whatever you want. Like it's just running Linux at the end of the day, right? And it's not quite as user friendly as a console, but it is. It definitely has a bit more curation than say just a out of the box PC. But I think it runs into the golden mean thing of like the kinds of people who would buy this thing are either, like you said, the console people who kind of want to get into as an entry point to PC gaming, and I think it's too expensive for that. If this thing was relatively affordable and I could just put it under my TV, I probably would have bought one. Just to have it.
The other thing this is competing with too is the Steam Deck.
Yeah, for sure. Which has also gone up in price by quite a lot.
A Steam Deck makes sense because it is essentially a portable console that you can take anywhere.
Sure.
The fact that you optimally you would always go with a Steam Deck and and just having a PC, but I can't think of other than you've just got money to blow and you can just put it in a spare room as an additional console,
a secondary PC or something. Yeah,
why you would bother with buying this? I just wonder if it was just the mindset of the Steam Deck has done really well for us. We need to explore branching out.
Yeah, but I think Kyo, go ahead.
Well, I mean, if you just think about it one way, Steam has a platform, but no console.
Yeah.
And Xbox has a console with no platform because they keep changing. It's fair. Not no platform, but it's just in terms of people don't go to Xbox for the Xbox platform. That's what I mean. People will go to PlayStation because of the PlayStation platform. You've got solid console, solid infrastructure, solid platform. And
I would argue that's the reason
Nintendo.
Why we're still with Xbox is that we're pretty invested in the platform.
I know. Yeah, but if you think
the platform there to understand
the wider perspective, people will diss the Xbox platform because the Microsoft Store is shit. But realistically, like there are games that I've run on my Surface my Surface, Surface PC that have trumped, and it's all optimized through the Windows Store. It gets to a point where it loads the game up, and then you just change and fiddle with the settings to get how the game you want it. It's like that. It people just see that as kind of a mess, right? So Xbox as a platform based on Windows, that's kind of where that falls down. So Steam has that, and everybody wants to be Steam. So Xbox has a console, but then you know what I mean. So it's kind of like the opposite end. Steam needs a console to enter the console market to have something to compete against as a stable platform.
Sure. If you're thinking about like market share, trying to take people away from consoles and more onto PC and introduce them.
Yeah.
Because obviously, there'll be a lot of people who are just like they have a big Steam library and they just have a PC and that's all they play. But there's definitely a divide between people who play consoles and people who primarily play on PC. And so the way they pitched this, it very much felt like a way of introducing console gamers to PC gaming through a more curated kind of set-top box thing that was simpler to set up, ran a thing that was really optimized towards games because SteamOS is built for that, with like less of the fluff of like having to set up a computer and build your own thing, and also small form factor, quiet, decently powered, and decently priced. And I think the problem is that like decently powered works at a when you're spending $750 US, but not when you're spending double that.
Yeah. Well, my explanation was like layman's term pitching to two marketers. You guys, you know them.
But I get what you mean.
Right? So
there's definitely positives about the Steam ecosystem, like the fact that you can bring over like a game overlay and like add notes.
Yeah, sure.
Into games as you're moving along, which is good for guides and stuff like that. Whether that kind of stuff would transfer easily across to, the console.
PC gaming is in pretty much every way better than console gaming, ideally, right? Like when it works the way it's supposed to, and there are no hiccups. At its best, PC gaming is always going to be superior to console gaming, right? Console gaming has a level of accessibility and creation, and like it's a more closed off system, and therefore you kind of give up some stuff for more security stuff and things like that. Whereas obviously Steam is much more open stuff, and you got like mods and side loading and all that kind of stuff. And so there definitely benefits to being a PC gamer, right?
Which is like one of the big things with the Windows Store too. Like everything's like closed off in its own way, and where you can mod stuff on the other platforms. Like I had an argument not an argument, a conversation with somebody at work the other day about the same stuff, right? Steam being open, and then so not being able to modded things that are on the Windows Store. So
and so I think that there's definitely an inroads there to go, well, if you could get a Steam machine for roughly like maybe a little bit more than a console, and you suddenly get access to all these great deals, and you get access to more games that, like, again, because everything comes to Steam on PC, so you get access to more games that never come to console, usually earlier. You get access to early access stuff, really big community, really good deals. Like there's definitely, you can see the pathway of going, the thinking behind of like, okay, let's build a box that's kind of a hybrid or like an entry point into PC gaming for console gamers. That's a roughly the same price of, roughly it's competitive pricing, at least with current consoles, with a lot of benefits that we can sell them. We've got a new controller, and they can kind of get the benefit of PC gaming without having to do a big pre-build, without having to spend $4 or $5 grand on like a 5090 and that kind of stuff. But with the price of RAM and everything else, unfortunately, that they've priced themselves out of that market. And there's fuck all they can do about it, right? Because console gamers like us are going to look at it and go, "Yeah, that's cool, but you've moved it too much to the midpoint where it's actually for no one." Because anyone who would actually want this machine needs it at a cheaper price. That's more, it needs to beat consoles, or it needs to have more other features than consoles at a comparable price point, or it needs to be a much more powerful machine. And that at which point you're like, well, I'll just do my own build and not pay the extra cost. And obviously PC parts are fucking expensive right now. So even if you were going to do your own build, like if I was going to build the PC I've got right now, it probably would cost me at least another $1 or $2 grand than what I paid for it originally, which is crazy. And I think this is I think that the problem with this is we're going to see these knock-on effects down the line. There was a story. There was a story they were talking to Valve where they said basically they were going to ram the RAM wholesalers and they would tell them the price. And if Valve didn't take the price, those people would never speak to Valve ever again. Because they'll be like, bro, we have so many companies who will buy it at this price. If you're even umming and ahhing about it, we'll just go, nah, we're good. We don't need you. Like, it's such a seller's market. It's crazy. And so for them to come up with this machine, like, I mean, I'm sure it'll sell out because they'll probably make like 20 of them. But I can't think of a single human being who's going to buy one of these. I can't even think of the what do you call it in marketing? It's the sort of persona idea of like, if you think about like the customer and
customer,
exactly. The idea, if you're thinking about a market and you've got 5 or 6 different personas of the types of people you do business with, and you've got people like us who play all kinds of console stuff, and then you've got people who are like power gamers for PC, and you start crossing them out because you're like, well, this doesn't really fit for them because they're not price conscious, they're too price conscious, or this one doesn't fit for them because they're too into the hobby and they have their own PCs already and we don't fit their market. I feel like the circle is just shrinking and shrinking and shrinking based on this price stuff. To like, who the fuck is going to buy this thing? Who even fits into our target market? And it feels like only diehards are going to do it. Only people who are super big Valve fanboys are going to buy this thing. And I think it's got some benefits. Yeah. Like I think it's like the small form factor. Yeah. The like it's got the thing where like you can turn it on with a controller. So like when you hook up the power and stuff, and it's got like it's quiet and like there are some other benefits, but most of those are very small benefits in terms of how much they're charging for it.
I mean, comparatively, the performance isn't great, right?
No, it's not.
It's not.
It's not super great. No, it's better than the Steam Deck, but
coming from somebody that I have a mix of basically every version of a current modern console, like PS5. Nintendo of some kind, and then Xbox and whatever. And my extent of PC gaming is the Windows Store because it's linked to Xbox.
Sure.
The only thing I have Steam installed is for my games for Windows Live games that are only on there now.
Mm-hmm.
And GOG, which is completely DRM free. And the only platforms I log into and use are the Windows stuff and GOG. I have no reason to have Steam because I don't need another platform to buy a million games that I won't play on.
Yeah.
So if you're going to be a Steam console, you're catering to people that have a million games that you're banking on that they're going to buy more or play the games that they've bought that they'll never touch.
Yes,
or is it going to be
probably?
Yeah.
I mean, like the deals are so good. Like the Steam summer sale is happening right now, and people are going nuts.
Exactly.
I definitely think there is an audience.
And then you have those little cards or whatever it is that you sell on Steam now.
Yeah, they got trading cards. Yeah.
So you can sell stuff on Steam. So basically, you've got a platform that has a market, like an open market of some kind. So, like, what is that?
I don't really know how the trading card stuff works, to be honest.
Right, what was the question?
Yeah. I mean, like, for example, like, I think probably the best example would be what's that game that has those knives that Kiku likes to talk about? CS:GO. What the hell is that game? CS:GO. See, I didn't even know Counter-Strike because I barely even played it. Right. This stuff with CS:GO, CS:GO doesn't exist anymore. It's Counter-Strike 2 now, isn't it? But
the
knives that you buy on that go for hundreds or whatever, like dollars, right?
Yeah, so that all takes place outside of Steam.
Exactly. Yeah. So, well, I mean, like, not exactly, but I mean, that's the kind of like, if you're tapping into a market, then like, I don't know, I don't know where to go with that. So, yeah. So. What do you guys think?
I don't know. I think there is a market in the console space where it's like, like I said, if this thing was reasonably priced still, and again, it's not Valve's fault that this is the price it is, right? It's just the reality of where we're at.
Yeah.
I would have considered this. Like I have a PC that sits over here, but it would be nice to have something that just sits under my computer, sits under my TV that I can just hook up, because I've got like a Raspberry Pi hooked up to it, and it's fucking shit for the most part. But like if I just wanted something that I could do a bit of PC gaming on occasionally with a controller, I'll hook up one of my Xbox controllers to it, and I'll just run PC games through it. And like, you know, again, so much stuff is Play Anywhere even on the Xbox stuff now, so it doesn't actually matter that much. Like, yeah, maybe I'd consider it, but not for double the price and not for more than a console. You know,
unless you're like a very price conscious kind of gamer, like that would be the only time I would consider it. And with it would just be PC.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a product like this needs to be priced quite affordable. Like it needs to be a Series S kind of entry.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, exactly. It needs to be around that mark.
And I just don't see that happening. Like,
yeah.
So
I mean,
all they need is a bunch of people that are like, okay, I'm done buying stuff on Steam. Let me just take my Steam collection and I'll buy this Steam thing, and then that will be my Steam thing for all the things that I bought.
I mean, like they're doing it in such a way of like they're getting people to pre-register their interest and all that because
it's a lottery system to try and get one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll see how many they even sell. But like, I just think that, and like, yeah, like I said, I do understand that there are still benefits. It's not a complete flop of an idea, but I just think that unfortunately they've kind of priced themselves into a place where, because they don't have the purchasing power of building millions of units like Xbox or Sony do, that it's like, well, then they just kind of have to deal with what they've got. And I suspect the prices of these things are going to go up. There's another story. I mean, they just announced today that Xbox pricing is going up by another 150 US across the world. Like, that's crazy. Yeah.
Depends on which
model.
They're I don't want to say delisting. 2 terabyte won't be an option anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they're removing 2 terabyte. 1 terabyte is going up 150, and 512 gig is going up 100.
Yeah, it's and US, which is a lot, especially when they've already had price increases recently, and it's just game price increases. And I guess our other story this week is they announced GTA 6. They got the pre-orders there. It's out. It's ready to go. People are excited. Didn't drop a trailer or anything. They just said, "Hey, fucking give us your money." Geez, I saw on a subreddit a bunch of people were like, "Man, they didn't give us." It's like, I'm not pre-ordering this game until I get a third trailer. I'm like, bro, you shouldn't be pre-ordering this game at all, because the main fucking reason is it's digital only. The physical editions of this game will have a download code in them.
So they apparently come out and put a response with that essentially the reason they're doing it is so it doesn't leak, and that there will be physical copies of the game after the game has released.
Yes, so I got another news story in there about like the rumors of apparently there's going to be some disc version at some stage, reportedly, but who the fuck knows when that is. This is bullshit. This is them just trying to basically this is them just trying to get rid of the secondhand market. They know they're going to sell millions of these units. They want to make sure they make money on every single one of them for the rest of time.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not opposed to selling games digitally, obviously, because almost my entire library is digital. I haven't bought a single Series X game.
Why not just make it a digital pre-order at the start then, and then just do physical copies down the road?
Yeah, exactly. But there's also the piece of like, this is also not coming to PC day one, because they always hold out on that. Try to get people to double dip.
Well, the other thing too is GTA Online a part of this product?
Well, yes. There's another piece there around, well, in the fine print, they basically said this is the single player experience. No word about GTA Online at all. And so people are getting to thinking maybe there's going to be a completely separate purchase that you need to buy on top of the game, which is also going to be $80 US. Because fuck you. That's why.
And they've already done that with 5 as well. Anyway, they split it up. So
yeah, well, at least, to be fair, you don't have to pay extra to get online with 5. It was included. It just came later.
Yeah, this is a $2 billion product.
Yeah,
so I'm not surprised that they want to make their money back,
which they will within a week.
Yeah, this is going to be fucking crazy. I was already seeing news reports of some companies in the US of having like a public holiday for the release of the game, saying like, hey, we just have to send out the press memo. We will be closed on this day because we've had an overwhelming number of annual leave requests, and we've just decided that for the benefit of our staff, we're just going to have the day off.
It's a good idea. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be the biggest entertainment release of all time.
Just crazy.
I mean, I guess that's the question. Are you guys interested? I don't know. Again, I know you guys won't pre-order it because pre-ordering's for suckers, but like, are you guys interested? Is this something that we need to get together to play for Game of the Year? Like, what are we thinking?
Well, I mean, I said that I'm a sucker, so I will eventually, but I've not pre-ordered it yet. So
yeah, I'm not rushing out to buy. What is it, like 130 Australian?
Yeah, 129, I think. Yeah, which
yeah. I'm not rushing out to spend that kind of money on a game. I'll wait till it comes to Game Pass.
Also, yeah, good luck. Game Pass will be dead in the water before that game even thinks about coming across. I think the other bit too is that there's also been some controversy around them locking out buying businesses and a bunch of other quests. Unless you buy the Ultimate Edition, which is an extra $20 US, which is very shitty.
Really?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised at all.
No, I'm not. No, yeah, I'm Jack's complete lack of surprise. Like, of course they were going to fucking milk you for every dollar, especially if GTA Online isn't ready to go yet. Oh man.
I'm wondering, you know what would be very interesting? Whether they carry out the GTA 5 plan with this. Say it is two separate products, would we actually see DLC story content for?
No way.
Yeah, but I'm saying though, is Rockstar in a position where they could do both now, as opposed to
they definitely could.
Nah.
Rockstar has always been in a position where they could do both. They just chose not to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it's
unless they've got it ready to go, ready to release, then this is their single player experience, and that's going to be it. And then you're going to get whatever online comes. So
yeah, they didn't even do an expansion live, right?
DLC content.
So
and not DLC, just microtransactions.
Yeah, shark cards.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I just because I'm with you because I would love because the thing is like the DLC content for GTA 4 is great. You know, like I really love Lost in the Dams and Ballad of Gay Tony. I was actually thinking about going back and playing them because I need to finish them up. But I just, like there was talk around how they were originally going to do a DLC for 5, but they just didn't because online made so much money. They were like, well, why would we waste our time making new content that's not going to sell nearly as well as a new fucking overpriced car?
I mean, 5 is a really good story too.
Yeah, I think I don't know how well it's aged, but I think I really enjoyed it playing through it originally. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I think just having, there's not many games that you kind of have that different ending kind of spiel where it actually does matter. And I think GTA 5 did that different protagonist kind of interlinking quite well.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I mean, I'm very interested to see how the story, I guess, is received for GTA 6. But then, it just depends on do people, if this is a single player experience too, do people buy GTA for the single player experience?
Well, they buy it because it says GTA 6. Like that's the thing is that like.
Yeah. We've got a game that's over 200 gigabytes that's purely single player, and then we've got Call of Duty that's over 200 gigabytes, and it's barely a single player game.
Yeah, true. You got the two extremes.
That was the other conversation I wanted to have. What is the size of this game? Because there was a conversation of it potentially being 600 gig.
There's no way they couldn't do it. Like
I saw a few things about it. I'm just like, no,
that's crazy. Like
no way is that legit.
I actually think it might actually be smaller than we think because I think Rockstar spent enough time working on this game and actually tried it. Because the thing is, they want this to run on as many things as possible, right?
Yeah.
Like they want to make this an easy sell.
Mm-hmm.
And like this needs to run on a Series S. So I'm like, I think they probably got the compression down pretty well. Actually, I would suspect. I imagine it probably won't break 200 gigs. Would be my guess.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm putting in the ballpark at 250.
Sure. Yeah, which I think is still way too fucking big, but still.
Yeah. But that's going to be a very interesting conversation because there was like a whole bunch of 600 gig conversation on Twitter.
That's crazy.
And I'm like, Yeah, 677 was supposedly rumored.
Yeah, no, that'd be insane. Yeah. But yeah, I guess so. So yeah, Keo, you're going to pick it up. Cameron, what do you think? Are you interested?
Eventually.
I'll probably give it a bit of time. I'll see. That's the other sucky thing. Yeah, I would have picked it up on disc secondhand, but
right, that's exactly right.
I'm not prepared to just pay more than half of what it's going to cost.
Yeah,
like $60-$70 I'll put on it, but
no, yeah, but not
Okay.
100.
So what is the cost of 13 years worth of experience of one video game? People are still playing GTA 5.
They are.
Many years later.
Am I gonna do the whole $1 to 1 hour conversation? Am I gonna get like
100 hours out of the game? Probably, in terms of all the shit they'll probably cram into it if you do literally everything. Will you enjoy those 100 hours for that amount of money is a different fucking question.
Well, Cameron can do 100 hours driving around a circle in a Lego racing game.
That's true, he can do. Yes, he's very good at that.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, I set that over 3 days and I forgot about it.
Just drive over a fucking cliff.
Rubber band off what is it? Like the Rainbow. Is it Rainbow Road? Like kind of road?
I have no idea.
You know what?
The road kind of thing where I just kept driving straight off the cliff.
The worst part is that GTA 5 had an achievement that basically had to have you out in the desert walking around in circles.
Kiflam. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. And then I guess we'll just quickly go on to our last news story here. Sony has confirmed today that they are laying off most of the Bungie team. Pretty much everyone from Destiny and a good portion of the Marathon team as well, apparently, along with a few others. This is, again, not a big surprise. We kind of heard Jason Schreier, I think, was talking about this a few weeks ago. Now that Destiny 2 is done and there's no plans for Destiny 3, and Marathon is doing okay, but not amazing, I'm very curious to see. I mean, this is obviously terrible. Like, it's terrible news. And, Bungie's been going through a lot of rough patches over the last few years.
Yeah.
But there are also their studio head has also left. He stepped down. Like, what is even going to be left of the studio by the end of this week? I don't know.
I'm really just wondering, where does Bungie go from here?
Yeah, especially with how much Sony paid for them, and obviously a lot of that was to not just for Destiny and the IP, but also to be a support studio for those 12 live services they were working on, which now most of which have been cancelled or gone the way of Concord or I don't know. Maybe they just become a support studio for other businesses, and they just kind of
I think
run Marathon for a bit until it completely dies.
Yeah, that's what they wanted. They wanted Destiny, though. They wanted Bungie to be the support studio, right, for their online stuff. So
and they paid billions for it. Yeah. So, but
it's crazy though. You think of Bungie's history getting out of Microsoft's umbrella, and then the acquisition for Activision Blizzard, and then buying themselves back, then going to Sony.
Yeah.
Like, it's just
they have a real storied history for sure. It's a real shame, but I guess we'll kind of see what happens with Marathon. I mean, obviously they're still investing in it, still doing more seasons. They haven't shut it down immediately. So,
what percentage of the staff are left after the Sony acquisition?
Yeah, we don't know, because they lost like 17% of their staff, I think, a couple of years ago.
It's always been like every 6 months or something. They've just been downsizing. Yeah, like constant conversation.
So it would be like
Bungie staff over the years.
So probably like 1,000 staff or so. More than that would be closer to maybe 1,500 staff, probably at their highest.
They had 1,220 as of May 26th, apparently.
Yeah, 12. Yeah, actually, at the end of October, they laid off 100 of their 1,200, and then they laid off another 220. So scaling up and down a bit. I'm very curious to see who's even going to be left by the end of this.
Like what projects they work on for now. Yeah, I don't see them being anything other than the support studio.
Yeah, which is a real shame because there's definitely some talent there for sure. Halo is one of my favorite games.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into the Game Pass updates. Kyo, do you want to go through those?
I do. I just need one moment, please. Sorry. Let me load that up. Okay, cool. So, joining Game Pass. So it is the 26th today. On the 25th, we had Abyssus join. On June 30, we'll have RV there yet. July 2nd, we'll have Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 finally. And July 6th, we'll have Winds of Arcana Ruination. I don't know if I know that one.
No, neither. I haven't seen it.
No. Leaving, we have Payday 2. We have Tomb Raider Definitive Edition, Rise of the Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider Windows, Slay the Spire, Ultimate Chicken Horse, Unpacking, Volcano Princess, and Mecha Break. So, yeah. That's it.
Rise of the Tomb Raider is fantastic. I would recommend everyone give that a go if you haven't. It's probably the best Tomb Raider they've made in a very long time.
It is. Very good. Yeah. I really like their survival mode, actually. I was surprisingly...
Yeah, it's actually quite cool.
I actually kind of liked it. So, yeah.
We also have the Patreon, patreon.com/HallOfGamers if you want to help support the show. A huge thank you to Old Mate Clown, Cavalier07, Hack and Pone, Kung Fu Skills, Happy Moogles, Admiral Awesome, Natolinator, Lee Howard, Left Legacy, and Venoms AU. We couldn't do the show without you guys, without your financial and other support. We greatly appreciate it. All the proceeds go straight back into hosting the podcast. So yeah, that was patreon.com/HallOfGamers if you want to help support us. Do you want to do the monthly theme, Kyo?
Yeah, so we are pretty much done with our May and June one and done, which was play games that completely stand alone, stuff like that, blah blah blah. But now we get to move on to July and August, which is Game Hog Day. Play games that require more than one playthrough to complete. So anything where you die and at the end of the game, I guess, and then you have to start again, or if you complete it and it's got multiple endings, things like that, I guess. So
yeah, be interested to see how we define this. I'm wondering, because I guess technically, if you have to play through for multiple difficulty levels, I don't think that counts. But if you have to play through for multiple endings, maybe it does. I don't know. Be curious to see what people come up with.
Well, I mean, like Sworn, we know how Sworn ends between us, but you pretty much have to start again. It's a roguelike, right? But
Yeah,
it's
I
not
guess
the
so. Yeah,
roguelike
that's
month.
true. That's true. I mean, you could technically finish it in one playthrough, though, because the game doesn't actually change. There's no extra story stuff. Whereas, like, Hades, for example, does have different story stuff after you beat the final boss. So, I don't know. Like, some roguelikes might count, some might not, depending on how story-related they are.
Yes, exactly. So
if I'm playing a one-life mode kind of game and I have to restart again...
it's when you finish the
game, you got to do it again.
It has to have an ending, and then you need to play it multiple times to complete
more than one
it.
playthrough to complete. Not you're bad and you keep dying and you have to restart. All right, this is
Case in point, we haven't finished a run of Gunfire Reborn since we started it the other week.
True.
So
this is true.
Such a banger game.
Well, let's get into what we've been playing then. Kyo, do you want to go? You pitch us a game, and then I've got a couple I can talk about as well.
Yeah. So well, actually, there's a couple that I've been playing. I haven't had a chance to talk about it yet, so I'm going to talk about the one that I was playing last time. The End is Null, and if I may say so. This is one that I actually have got this quiet soft spot of love for, just right there in my heart actually now. So it's kind of conditioned me to play the game through like perfectly 3 times. So it's one of those games you have to play it 3 times to finish it.
Okay.
So the first time, I'll go over it quickly because for the people that haven't heard of it before, you play it through the first time, and it expects you to get the bad ending. It expects you to get the bad ending because on the second playthrough, it lets you start after the first section. The first section is basically like an RPG kind of. It's like an old Sierra kind of game where you pick up a few items, mix a few things, and things like that. point and click kind of game. So there's a few story things, and they're like, right, we're kind of done with the story. Here are the challenges. You have to finish the second section and then the third section completely, and but you have to play the second section perfectly and fail in the third section to get the second ending, and then we'll let you start at the third section to finish the game and get the best ending. So, like, as you go, it punishes you for basically not being able to solve the puzzle the first time, but it gives you the leniency of being able to start at each section after you've
Right, so you like
of the
checkpoints.
3 sections. It's like Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, basically, at the start of each act. But the second, so after the story stuff, the second section is basically the puzzle section, and you'll have a variety of puzzles where you have to do certain things certain ways. There'll be like a temple run section, but you got to know where you're running. You got to know the trick to run through the right tunnels to finish the section, and then you have like some side-on puzzle stuff where you have to lower and raise certain platforms to get like a character through to the end, and then and there's like some rock scissor paper kind of stuff in there as well. So at the end of that section, you actually need to go through a sequence of like, it's like a baton thing where you need to not get hit by the character that's trying to hit you, and it's the character's trying to teach you something, teach you to not get hit for the fighting section, which is the third part of the game.
Right, okay.
But you have to do all the puzzles and then get to the final section and then not get hit. And like, there was a really quirky thing there where it said, when I got hit once, it said, haha, now you're not going to get that ending that you wanted. So the second ending.
Right.
And it said, I've already saved. So you save scummers can't go back and deal with it. I decided to test that theory and made the mistake intentionally by going, okay, let's see how far this goes. I'm going to do the go back to the dash with the game open, go and delete my save, and then go back into the game and it'll just restore it from the cloud. The game saved it in a way, and I'm going to give the dev credit for this, because I think intentionally it's part of kind of like the way the mind games worked with that thing. My save game was gone.
Oh.
It was gone. So guess who had to play through the bad ending again to get to the end of the game to unlock the checkpoint at the start of the second area to get through the point where you have to dodge this lady again.
And you,
And
and
then
you
move
still
on to
enjoyed
the
this
third.
game?
And I still enjoyed the game.
All right, all right.
The problem is that I had to make guides on TA so I could follow systematically the final section of that second part, because it was like a whole bunch of like the final section was like a boss battle of the second part, but before the baton thing, where you had to move in certain ways and use like a mirror to counter like an attack. But it was basically like, do this, then this, then this, then this, then this, and then if you did it in the right order, you could just pass it. So it was at the point where I'd written it all down as guides in guides, so I could upload it to TA basically as it is for anybody to follow, because I'd already laid the whole thing out. So every time I got back up to that point when I failed getting hit by the baton, I could just do what I needed to do, and then have then just press, the combinations that I needed to just pass that section, and then do the baton thing. It took me a long time. It did not need to take me as long as it did, and if I wasn't trying to write the guide the way up I did, then it probably would have been a little bit quicker. But you would have had to do that puzzle section every single time correctly to actually pass it, to get to the end of that section to move on. So it's actually like intentionally punishing. And when you do fail, it basically it's the fourth wall breaking thing and knows what it's doing. And it's like, it ridicules you for whatever reason, and then so the thing that's witty about it is the storytelling is so damn good that the characters are talking to you and talking to himself at the same time, that it's ridiculing you for making mistakes as the player. It knows. So
this is very meta.
yeah, it is very, very meta, like right through to the endings and everything. So and then you do the third section of the game, and it's basically it's like a side-on dance battle of sorts. Pretty much. It's weird, but you only have to press like 2 button combinations, and then you have to dodge a whole bunch of moves, because basically the enemy attacks you. You just need to dodge a whole bunch of times, and then at the right time, under the right condition, you press a different button, and it will attack, and then the enemy will lose health.
Right.
So, but some of that's really forced, which like the last section of it had like the enemy was poisoned. Like you had to do a bunch. The enemy would poison. There would be a poison spell or something, and it would attack you, and you wouldn't take damage, but you'd be poisoned, and then you'd be able to use that to attack the enemy back. But yeah, so it's really interesting, but I mean, like the story itself is based in like it's like the Mesoamerica kind of like 16th century Spanish invading the Incas kind of
the
like
conquistadors. Yeah,
thing.
right. Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah, because you for the most part, the main character Joseph is a Spaniard. So
right, okay.
But it's really hard to say what the game is about in the end. Was it him transcending? Was it this? Was it that? But there are several endings, so it could be whatever, right?
It sounds
so
interesting.
Like a whole bunch of. It is super interesting, and I'd say, yeah, you have to play through it the first time to understand it, and then use my guide to get to the end of it, for the second and third time and stuff, and you'd be fine. You'd spend much, much less time playing it than I did, but I'm now conditioned to really, really like the game, just because I've seen the witty bad comments from failing so many times that kind of pop up. It's actually really good writing. So yeah.
All
right.
That's
one of you guys go.
Yeah, I've been playing some of the same stuff as usual, but I finally feel like I put enough time into Mass Effect Andromeda that I can give a bit of an opinion on it. So I've been playing this kind of as my one of my backlog games, my unstarted backlog. So started this up, a few weeks ago now, actually, because I kind of jumped in. When did I started it back in end of May. So I've been working on it for basically a month on and off. I put about 30 hours into it so far. I'm on like I think it's like 5 main planets that you go to. I think I'm on the 4th one. So I'm a good way through it. I'm starting to do loyalty missions. So I'm probably not like right at the end, but I'm probably about maybe halfway through the game. I'm enjoying it quite a bit. It is kind of fun to see Mass Effect taken in a slightly different direction with the sort of story stuff, and kind of having a new galaxy to explore, and not just having the threat of the Reapers and the same sort of Commander Shepard stuff, and kind of having new challenges and new interesting things to discover. And that includes like new alien races. It also includes them being like, oh, hey, the Quarian arc with the Hanar and all the other fun aliens. They got lost. So don't expect to see any of those character models in these games, because we didn't put them in there. You only get the 3 or 4 basic aliens.
Nice.
And so I was like, okay, well, clearly that was supposed to be a DLC thing, which didn't end up eventuating. But it is funny that, like a third of the alien races that you would expect to see are just not in this game. But yeah, it's pretty good. It definitely has more verticality and maneuverability. You have like a jump jet, and you can hover. They've definitely like sort of improved the combat to make it a bit more dynamic, as opposed to the more sort of stiff cover-based shootery kind of style. There is obviously still cover, but you're definitely more maneuverable than you were in the previous Mass Effects. Where it kind of falls down a little bit is it definitely has a little bit too much Dragon Age Inquisition DNA in it. It's a bit too open worldy. There's a bit too many like MMO style kind of pointless quests of like, hey, go around and collect, like check all these minerals or scan all these things, or go and talk to this guy and then drive to a location and shoot someone without any really kind of story impact. They've taken out like the Paragon and Renegade stuff, so there isn't really like a morality system, which I think is like good and bad. Like I think there's some stuff around it, but doesn't really feel like there aren't really like skill checks. Like there's no conversation skill checks anymore or anything like that, which just feels weird. You used to be able to like invest into like charm so you could talk your way out of a situation, where this very much feels like I'm just going to go and do this quest, and maybe I get to make a bit of a decision at the end, but it doesn't really matter that much. The plot is the plot, and you're just kind of going to play it. And so I could definitely see why, back in 2017, people were not happy with this game and being like, this is not what Mass Effect is. But, and also because it was a buggy fucking mess. I've definitely seen, it hasn't been too bad, but there have been a couple of situations where I've gotten like stuck in the geometry, or there was a part where a cutscene, I was coming into land and my pilot just suddenly was T-posing behind me, which I had to laugh at. But I definitely, it was definitely a weird period of time for BioWare, and it's unfortunate that this is kind of like the last time. I mean, they are working on another Mass Effect, and I hope it goes well, but I don't actually believe it'll ever come out based on how that studio is looking. But yeah, like I'm enjoying it. Like I'm playing on story mode at the moment. I have to do an insanity playthrough, so that might change my thoughts a little bit. But I'm having a good time, kind of just running through and not being so invested in the narrative and the story and the universe, and just kind of being like a nice, fun little side story for a little bit that's just kind of been sitting in my backlog for 10 years. Cameron, have you got anything?
Pretty much the only thing I've been playing is Ruiner.
Oh, yeah.
So Ruiner is, I think, 2017, 2018 release that I originally played on Game Pass, and I think I just did one playthrough. Essentially, you play as a silent protagonist called Puppy, where you have been hacked and need to work your way up to this character called Boss. I won't say anything else about the story of that. It is just an isometric shooter, but it has a very, not intense, but like very different kind of upgrade path. Like you can just put your points into anything and just build different kind of builds. It's essentially, I think, 12 levels. I've just done the hardest difficulty achievements. I've got 3 achievements left. 2 of them relate to a speed run of getting it done in like less than an hour.
Jesus.
And it is like 1 minute of difference, kind of.
Yeah. Fucking tough game. Yeah.
Yeah, trying to dash through and all that. That's definitely the hardest achievement for it. It's like an 18.0. And then I've got one achievement that essentially just glitched on me, which is to respond to the cat quest. Essentially how the game works is you have like 3 areas in one kind of hub that you do, and you go back to the main world, and then you have to go and find these cats. And the first time you find 3. And you have to collect these coins and levels and talk to this guy back in the hub world. And it's like, it's not too indifferent from the Ascent.
That's what I was thinking of. Yeah, for sure.
Just very much more violent, kind of dark, gritty undertone to it. Really enjoyable game, but yeah, it's just trying to get the speed run out of the way, essentially. And then, yeah, just trying to get this bloody cat achievement to unlock. Apparently, people were having issues with it and then unlocked it in a new game when they originally talked to people.
Oh, okay.
But because I didn't collect all the cats in the first version and then go into a new game with it, I think I might have to start a new save.
Okay.
As well.
Yeah.
Other than that, I've basically done Lego 2K Drive with the exception of the collectibles, which it's like the Assassin's Creed flags kind of. There's no markers. Just looking at the maps, kind of getting that done area by area. But yeah, that's pretty much just going to be a busy work kind of day. And then I'm just going back to Kingdom Hearts a little bit, just cleaning up bits and pieces here and there.
Kia, you got anything else?
And,
Forza. Yes. And Forza, yes, of course.
Yeah, and just doing logging in and doing that.
Yeah, I've got 2 achievements left in Forza. It's going to take a while to get through.
Yeah.
I've been doing a couple of things. One of them is like a trash game, actually. Darksteel Legends. Darksteel is something you collect in the game from melting weapons that you get by fighting characters. It's basically like an arena thing. You've got like a circular arena. You've got one character and they fight the other character, and you have to. You've got a 3% or so RNG chance to get cash or money or a piece of gear to improve, and then you go through like chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then there's X amount of fights in each chapter. It's really lackluster, and it's basically like a one-button fighting game.
Right. Yeah. Okay. It's got three
and,
people have completed it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It is basically a really dumbed down version of combat in Assassin's Creed.
Right.
So it's like that third person kind of thing, but you just spin around each other, and then you'll attack, and then you'll either miss or hit them with that one button. And it's supposed to be context sensitive, where if you press a different direction, you can tell clearly it was supposed to be maybe a different move, but it's the same fucking move every time. So, so you end up just doing this one thrust, or maybe you'll do like an over the head thing or something. And then there's, if the enemies are too powerful, they'll do like an attack that is unavoidable, and you will either die or you will be hanging on by a thread, and then you have to RNG your way up to improve your gear.
Sounds amazing.
With like an in-game loot box system, basically, to get better gear.
So it's basically just a mobile game they've ported.
Yeah, and there's 3 classes, right? And you're like, oh, maybe I want to do the assassin, but no, you have to play as the frickin' knight or something, because that's the only RNG that you're unlocking. So you have to spend 500 coins to change your class to the one that you actually have gear for, and then every time you go and change your class, it costs more money. So it's awful. So, but I'll complete it. I'm pretty close. I've nearly RNG'd my way to chapter 5, and then I need to RNG my way to the end of that. And then I need to delete my frickin' save, because the first achievement you unlock by equiping an item didn't unlock. So
Amazing.
It's great.
I've got.
So
yeah, I don't. Why do you put yourself through these things, Kia?
Well, actually, I made myself a challenge of playing the games that were gifted to me this year to say that I've actually freaking played the things.
That's funny.
And Todd has been way too generous with trash games.
Oh, thanks, Todd.
So I've just made my way through them. So shout out, Todd. I'm getting through your trash games, and I actually have a couple of good ones on there. And you know what? The End of Noel was actually one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually really freaking enjoyed that game unexpectedly. So, yeah. So I've got a handful of games left in the Todd category. They're on a specific Todd's Infinite Hell list on my TA. If you want to see what those games are, but there's actually a couple of good ones on there.
Right.
But other than that, yeah. So that's yeah. It's just a trash game, donated by Todd. So thanks, Todd.
The only other thing I've been playing is Banishers. I think I talked a little bit about it last week. Wanted to get into it before it was leaving Game Pass. I'm enjoying it still. I'm about halfway through, I think. Doing my I'm trying to do get the save at the right point, so I don't have to do two full playthroughs. I'm liking it a lot. I mean, I think that the same stuff I said last week. I think the narrative is really interesting, and it's one of the games I play with. Like Alison wants me to play when she's here, so it's obviously it's interesting enough that we want to kind of see where the story goes. The combat is serviceable. Like you can play it on story difficulty for all the achievements, so no worries there at least. Yeah, I'm enjoying it a lot. It's a real shame that Don't Nod are in kind of trouble, because I do like their narrative chops. I really enjoyed Vampire when they did that, and Remember Me was kind of it was an interesting first effort. I know a lot of people have fond memories of that, and yeah, so I'll report back when I finish it. But I've been kind of taking. I've had very little time for gaming this week, unfortunately, just with work. So I'm going to try and catch up this weekend.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if that's everything, I mean, the only other thing I've been doing is I've actually been doing State of Decay 2.
Oh, okay, yeah, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, so not been playing so much the story stuff, but I've been jumping in and doing the Daybreak, basically, which is your horde mode, protect an area and keep the fences up and keep the enemies away, and it's pretty tough. There's a little bit of jank there where you'll press Y to melee an enemy, and it will decide that you pressed Y on a different enemy about 10 meters away, and you don't save the survivor you were trying to. Yeah, like even like you have to heal like a guy that's building a thing in the daybreak mode. There's like a guy you have to protect to stay alive, and you'll press Y on him to heal, and it'll target context sensitive the same Y button for meleeing an enemy over in the corner.
Oh,
It'll just go to a different enemy, and it's a really good mode. You have to play it 343 times or something, or play 343 rounds or something, basically.
Jesus.
As an achievement, and oh yeah, it's just a nod to Halo right there. You know what else?
Mm.
Why wouldn't you put a nod to Halo in your game about zombies? So I mean, Halo's a zombie game, right?
The flood are zombies. I guess that kind of
exactly. Yeah. So yeah, zombies like zombies. But yeah, but I mean, Daybreak is actually pretty fun, and there's still people playing it. You can play with randoms. But yeah, well, that's all I've really been doing with that. But we've got a handful of achievements. It's been decent. Oh, you know what? Actually, now that I think about it, I've been doing Serious Sam 2 as well. So because I've been doing that with Jester as well as that one.
Oh yeah.
And their coin-op mode is freaking ridiculous. That game, we're like, yeah, well, the first game, when we played Serious Sam 1, we went and we can do, we played through on the hardest difficulty or something. You just had to, like, you'd start at the start of the level and you just had to get through the level.
Yeah.
In this game, you have to play coin-op mode, which is basically 3 lives per level. You can earn more levels in that level, but it resets to 3 lives at the start of the next level.
Yeah.
So you don't bank your lives. You have to go right through the whole game having 3 lives, and if you die, then basically you end up, back at this. Well, pretty much you have to start the game again.
Fuck that.
So,
Jesus.
yeah, and we decided to do it without having played the story before.
Oh, okay.
So we didn't know the levels, and there are some shit puzzles in that game, as in like roofs that like just moving puzzles that would just like crush you, like Indiana Jones style, just like 4 falling platforms in a room that go up and down, and yeah, and then some weird fan jumping puzzles over water that you'll fall into and die. So basically, yeah. So once you run out of lives, it's game over. You have to start the game again, not the level again. So yeah.
Serious Sam 3 really poisoned me on that whole fucking series, because by the end of that game I was just like, I'm fucking so done with this whole fucking thing, because it's just really just
I know. Because I see Serious Sam 2 is on your list. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's there. Yeah.
no, I don't know.
No, you didn't.
No, I didn't play Serious Sam. No,
damn, I was trying to reel you in for a co-op.
No fucking way.
Needed another. No,
nope.
No, I wouldn't do that to you. Don't do it.
No, I'm not going to do it.
So yeah.
Oh,
they took that shit out in the redo.
Yeah, exactly. So. Yeah. We also started Gunfire Reborn, one of Cameron's favorite games. So Stubby, Keo, and I are finally catching up on it. Stubby was kind enough to buy me a copy, which means that I have to play it.
Yep. So this is the gifting season of gifting.
Exactly. Yeah.
Christmas in July.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. So yeah, it's I'm somewhat enjoying it so far. Like we made it to the boss of the second area for the first time the other night, and we're getting there. You guys have already played it a bit before. I'm sort of playing catch up a little bit, but I like the idea.
Yeah.
It feels a little imbalanced, but then it's very like meta focused in terms of like getting upgrades, and like the upgrades seem to be pretty significant as you level up. So yeah, really curious to see. And then I know it's got like high difficulties and things. So we'll probably be playing that for quite a bit.
Imbalanced meta, basically. Yeah. So,
but like I prefer that, to be honest. I prefer like making progress every time you play it, at least.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But you're just gonna die a whole lot, and then yeah.
But we make progress. A lot of achievements.
Checking my brain quite a bit. Could not put it down. That and Yeah, I think it 1.0 as well.
Yeah. I also, just to throw in there, I also have been playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019 on PC because it's on Game Pass.
Mhm.
That campaign is
Yep.
still fucking awesome. Like, I'd again forgotten how
It is
good it
good.
was. It's just a fantastic campaign, especially after trying to play Black Ops 7. But yeah, I think, is that everything we've been playing?
That's everything for me. Yeah.
Cool. All right. We've also got the word challenge, everyone's favorite competition, where Kirby comes up with a game and you guess what it is. Hey,
Yes, that's a sneeze. Come on,
This is an
buddy,
intermission.
Yep, that's
for,
right. That's good. Yeah.
Bit of sneezing commentary.
Sorry about that. I've just been trying to edit out those sneezes.
Yeah.
The word challenge, where everyone comes, tries to figure out what the game that Kirby has cooked up in his mind and his deranged clues. So we've got a new one for this week. The first clue is bigger than Barbados, which I think I understand what the clue is trying to tell me, but that does not make the game very easy to figure out either way. So you have to get very lucky, but you get one guess per hour. Jump on our Discord and get your guesses into the word challenge channel, and every week the prize pool increases and you win some money if you get it right. So best of luck to you. We'll be guessing in there as well because we don't know it, but we'll try not to win it because that feels unfair.
Yeah.
All right, leaderboards. Keo, do you want to go through those?
Yes, so Mark B is in third place, sitting at 7,925 after completing Orange You Glad You Made It achievement in Forza Horizon 6. Basham is 14,620 with What's Up Doc in Section 13 is the last achievement. And Martel 18 has done 40,505. And the last achievement was Pounded Heart in Golem Lights Windows.
Nice work, guys. And Cameron, do you want to do completions?
Yep. So for completions, we've got Bottle of Sharks with Tekken 8, Bulbasaur with Smite, Battlefield Hardline, and Battlefield 5.
And he hit his
Busy
200k.
And 200k, jeez. Stubby 3 Animal, Cavalier 07 with Mixtape, Shane with Volcano Princess before it leaves Game Pass, which is 40-50 hour completion.
Yeah, he's written half the guides for it. So he's listen to last week's episode for his kind of playthrough, and check out his streams for that. It's a very interesting game.
Yeah.
Mad Lefty with Saints Row, Get Out of Hell, and Natalita with Road Company.
Yeah, nice job on Road Company. That's what I always thought about starting. Well, I think that's pretty much going to bring us to the end of the show. As always, you can catch us on Twitch. Xbox Hall of Gamers is the place to find us. Come say hi, hang out in the chat, and join our Patreon and check out our YouTube Hall of Gamers if you want to see our beautiful faces and see the wonderful thumbnail that Char does every week. Yeah, anything you guys want to shill, Cameron?
Not really.
Oh, easy.
I'll be starting a new job soon. I don't have time for gaming as much anymore.
Shilling capitalism. Yep, that's fair. Yep.
I'll have more money in my bank account. That's it.
Yeah, no time.
Oh, that's cute. And yeah, I've just you can see my link tree just on my X account, Keel Live at Home, and my YouTube's How to Fix Gaming. But you'll be able to find links to all the podcast stuff and my stuff all on my link tree. So
fantastic.
If you need a place to find it. So
and I'm Neomaster on everything, True Achievements, Xbox, and Discord. A huge thank you to my wonderful co-hosts, even the ones that couldn't be here today. Char for doing our thumbnails and behind the scenes work. Our patrons for making the show possible, and you viewers and watchers at home for keeping us on the straight and narrow. That's been episode 218. We'll catch you guys next week. See you later.
Peace.
Catches.